Got my coffee.
Oh, I forgot my water, man. And yes,
I had to run
Got
up
my
and
coffee. I won't stop talking this time.
for
Just
me, it's
kidding.
more in the end of the day. So, yeah, welcome everyone. We are live, guys. We already have some people
hello.
commenting here. Let's
Morning.
give some
What's going
good
on?
morning, good afternoon, good evening. Actually, for me, it's good night because here in Greece, it's actually 8:20 p.m. I think it's 12 for you there, right, Versan?
Yes, just turned
Yeah,
12. Good afternoon, everyone.
yeah. And we have a special guest here. Is actually we call him X. What time zone are you in? What time is
I'm
for
in
you there? Just
Eastern Standard Time, so it's about 1:23, 1:30
okay,
right
yeah.
now.
So you guys just getting started. There is still on time for coffee. For me, it's like more tea time now. It's actually 8:30 p.m. So welcome everyone. Today we're gonna have a great discussion here. I have Versan, I have X. We're gonna be talking about some topics. Well, some of them you can see on the description of this video: the rise of BRICS and its impacts on the dollar and XRP. So we're gonna be talking about Iron BRICS currency, Dubai digital dirham, the events that happened yesterday involving one of the wallets of the founders of Ripple, which is actually Chris Larsen wallet. While many people are calling it a hack on the XRP ledger out of opportunistic comments, it was not, but we're going to be discussing that later on. We're also going to be talking about a potential cyber threat that was actually announced by the Pentagon, and then we're going to move towards war with BRICS to stop the new currency. Is there going to be a new currency? Is the United States going to stop it? Well, we're going to find out on this live. I think Versan has great insights about that. And X, do you want to make a quick introduction about yourself? Perhaps I think you're just getting started on your journey on YouTube. Everyone, just have in mind it's one of our first live streaming, so expect that we might make some mistakes along the way. So we're just getting started here. You can perhaps start and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey, how y'all doing? X on X is my show. If over on X and on YouTube and on Rumble, I just started the video side of things in November timeframe, but been in the weeds in this stuff for quite some time, and glad to be here. So thank y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, man. I also want to thank the audience. I know last week I had a terrible internet connection. We had, I think, hundreds of comments. And, well, guys, I have to tell you, I changed my provider. So I do hope that today it will work
Did you get some
smoothly. And so
Starlink?
far, I didn't see any problems, you know. So thank you
Did you
for
get
your patience
Starlink?
as well. Yeah, I see some people already commenting here from Wix, from YouTube. We are live basically everywhere. We're just learning about this new platform that we are utilizing. So perhaps I want to start addressing something that it's a hot topic right now. It's actually the BRICS currency. So perhaps Versan, you want to start to make comments about what is the involvement of Iran on that and how is that playing out also in relation to the United States?
Sure. Wow. So much information to go into all of this. But first of all, it's an absolute pleasure to be with all of you again. Of course, welcome our distinguished guest, X on X. Very catchy name, by the way. And your work is super commendable. Commendable. I love what you do. And I think Ido and I also admire just how you explore so many diverse topics that, again, seamlessly connect into the ongoing financial revolution. But yeah, talking about the BRICS, let's start with Iran, really. Iran is part of the BRICS alliance. And in my personal opinion, I think a lot of these countries that have sided with the BRICS, I think that they've been partnered with the BRICS alliance after the 2008 financial crash, because that's really when this happened. And I think they were just waiting for the right time to make the announcements so that way they can continuously build the momentum that is needed, right? As this is all transitioning. So this, of course, includes China, etc. But what they've been doing ever since is just buying gold, and they've been buying gold and buying US bonds too, but for another reason. What's interesting, though, is that this strategy was long planned out. It's been going on for so long, and we're at a point now where there's an intersection between what's happening with the dollar, and that's why the dollar ties so much into what the BRICS is doing and whether it's going to be successful or not. But if we look at what the dollar is doing, the dollar is on its last legs. And I don't care how the mainstream narrative is going to downplay it, play the game. Someone commented Operation Sandman. That's exactly what we're talking about here. But just look at what the policymakers are doing, the central planners. They're not even trying to protect their own currency. And this is something Andy Schectman talks about. And many people are going to argue with us that the dollar is still strong, okay? But they're not acknowledging why is it strong, okay? Nobody is investing in the US bond market anymore. And what the government is doing is propping up the dollar strength. They're buying up their own debt, they're buying up their own bonds, and what they're doing is creating a false sense of liquidity. And there is no liquidity. We are insolvent. And I think this trend is already catching on. People all over the world know about this. But yeah, the dollar is not as strong as, it's being told to the whole world. So, and anyone that wants to argue this, they really just don't understand global economics and how currencies work. And again, this jumps into Operation Sandman, which is then the coordinated move to simultaneously dump US treasuries, whoever's holding those bonds. And, this is what we've been seeing for the last 2 years. So now shifting to Iran and the BRICS, including Saudi Arabia, they are going to sidestep the dollar. And this is what they're doing now. The question is the military industrial complex going to push for conflict with Iran? And that's what we see on the mainstream news now. They're trying to bring Iran into the war. So again, the narrative is so distorted. And what I see happening here is 9/11 all over again. And when I say this is we have all these narratives, even from the Pentagon, the Biden administration, about terrorist attacks, cyber attacks. And what I'm trying to say is that there is a high chance that they will inflict this pain upon their own people and their own citizens to rally a very naive and uninformed population to support an unconstitutional war. So that's like the macro view. But the BRICS, what they're doing is you can't stop it. You really can't at this point, in my opinion.
No,
Sorry,
it's
guys.
amazing.
What do you guys think?
To your point, Versan, 2008, right? Well, how long has Ripple been trying to establish their foundation throughout the world, with all the institutions and everything? Like, that's been taking place for quite some time. While all of this is shifting into this era and time, to your point, I believe that now we're far, far too far along that anything is coincidence. Everything is a very well thought out move. We're playing chess. The world is playing chess right now, or a game of Risk, what have you. But I believe that the biggest part of this, 9/11. Well, I believe the World War III has already begun. They just won't acknowledge it. It just looks different. It's cyber based. It's information war based, right? So it's all in the background. And then we got cats like us who are trying to do our due diligence to understand that these BRICS nations are moving into power. And you can see the power being taken away from the US dollar as well. I mean, and I'm almost wondering with the banks, the way that they are now just melting, and they just announced that as of March, they can no longer be bailed out, right? That was put in last March. So while we're over here, the Pentagon is letting us know that there's some sort of cyber attack that we should be expecting, or what's to come. Meanwhile, the banks that we know are insolvent are just melting completely down. And they pulled the rug out from under them. So right now, with Iran moving over into BRICS, and Egypt and Saudi Arabia and all of these countries quickly moving over at the same exact time where we're collapsing, Iran moves into place. And of course, Russia and Iran, they've had sanctions against them with the US dollar. So they've been forced to have to create a new system some way, somehow, to be able to, just naturally progress through trade and everything. But it is amazing. It's all taking place, and even I was looking over here, and I saw BRICS has already overtaken G7 in 35% of the global GDP. And you don't hear that anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not in the news. You know, no one's popping a red flag about that or anything. It's amazing.
And the BRICS consist of most of the global population.
Yep. And you would think that would be a top front of mind conversation that would need to be had. If they were afraid that the population was going to be hindered in the end, you would think that they would be putting their best foot forward and trying to stand up for their country. You know, and right now we got such deep state over here. We have to try and pre-position ourselves for the inevitable.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like our mainstream media, who is the enemy of the people, isn't telling us about BRICS moving into place.
Yeah, they're downplaying the narrative.
Exactly.
And that's a big red flag over there. So when people say they're, you know, you're 100% delusional, like some idiot in the comment here said that we're 100% delusional. No, I'm sorry, Viking cat. Actually, it's people like you that are everywhere out there who are uninformed and they just don't understand things and they're afraid of it. So they just downplay it. Oh, that's not going to happen. Why is it not going to happen? It's happening all around us. I get so many questions. People are like, when is this going to happen? And I'm like, guys, we're already living through the transition. It's happening every day. The question is, how informed are you? That's it.
That's right.
So, Ido, would you like to comment?
I think you guys did an amazing job, but I have some short comments here. One thing is that very often there is this narrative that there will be a flip the switch moment. And I think that's a huge mistake. I think the switch has already been flipped. As a matter that there are many switches being flipped on a daily basis. I mean, this transformation started many years ago. We're not talking about something that started in the pandemic, but it has actually aggravated the situation. So we started just think for a second. They changed the behavior of people first and foremost when we started with all this narrative. Let's talk about Zoom meetings here. Everyone was getting prepared for a major transformation that it will be combined with massive layoffs in the future. So I think they are preparing us. I also believe that the US dollar might be in the verge of a collapse. So I would just jump on a quick conversation here with you, Versan. What do you think about the dirham currency?
Yeah, that's exciting. The digital dirham really just means we're going a leap forward from where we were. And also this ties us into the global adoption and use case for XRP. In fact, Dubai is super regulated on digital assets. And for those who actually do the research into other nations out there and what they're doing with their regulations as far as digital assets, Dubai has always been ahead of the curve. I even grew up there, and the difference was so clear when I was growing up there. And I would like to share a very short, funny story. Is when I first moved to the U.S., I'm not even joking. Got to the airport, I came outside, outside the airport where the buses are, and I see two bus drivers fighting over a parking spot. And this is stuff you don't see over there. So again, they're way ahead mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and even the infrastructure. Now, Dubai's central bank and numerous central banks around financial institutions within Dubai are already embracing XRP for everyday use case. Right now, you can pay your phone bill, you can pay an electric bill in XRP in Dubai. And even one of the biggest real estate agencies out there called Emaar. Emaar is also one of the largest real estate. They build homes. Okay, that's what they do over there. And you can purchase a house with XRP. So why are they doing this? And the answer just goes back to what we've been saying forever. It lies in recognizing that XRP is a legitimate currency. So contrary to what Dubai's progressive approach is, I think the US is being held back. The SEC is holding XRP for various reasons, and we can get into that. But this is a tactic that's very disadvantaged to the American people. It's sidestepping the potential benefits of XRP that can protect the interests of a corrupt banking cabal that's involved in nefarious acts, even human trafficking. So, it's crucial to remember that the dollar, once a symbol of power, is actually being wielded as a weapon now, and it's being used for all kinds of nefarious acts. Where in something like XRP, you really, I don't know, I don't think you could use it because it would be so transparent, But the problem is Why are they stopping XRP? They're stopping XRP because they know it's going to bring transparency to the financial system, and they cannot allow that because then they cannot exploit people and protect their own interests.
Yeah, the old guard, it exposes the old guard. They can't continue to operate in the shadows the way that they always have. You know, whether it be with, you know, cash, or whether it be through Bitcoin or whatever type of system that they can use, full transparency completely knocks out every single thing that they can operate with. You know,
Yeah.
public awareness is their biggest threat. You know, and that's why they're fighting right now. It's like it's the US dollar fighting for its own life. The rest of the world sees XRP as a currency. That's the crazy part. It's literally just the SEC and in this administration and everything. You know, it's just the US. You know, you look over at in the Middle East, they are humming. They're humming. They can talk to regulators. They can get some framework put together. They actually hold these conversations and get a lot of production done out of them. Over here, we can't even get any clarity on what a security is and what it's not. You know, it's like, it's insane. So again, our administration is holding us back. The rest of the world is moving forward, and it's like the whole East is moving forward, and that is the future. And you can either get on or you'll sink. We're going to feel the sinking. I believe there'll be blood in the water. They're gonna the old system has no choice. These people who operate the system, they have no choice but to ride it till the stinking end, like, because game's up. The jig's up. Everyone's starting to see the criminality and the hypocrisy and the treason and all of the crimes against humanity that they continue to do. And it's those people who are in charge of the US dollar are the ones who are continuing to fight to keep it a rise.
There's something I would like to share. This is interesting. And, you know, I think that's what I'm worried about, is the fact that the fear of what this technology is doing, it's going to lead to drastic measures. And I think those drastic measures are what we're seeing in the Middle East right now. It's war. And what I don't understand, though, is that they're trying to protect the petrodollar, right?
Yeah.
But the petrodollar has been dead, and Saudi has made this clear. And the dollar, again, losing its significance, but we're pushing for a green agenda too. So if we're pushing for a green agenda, then why the hell do we need a petrodollar? I think it's just because it holds so much of the system together, and they want their power, they want their position. And I think those now who have the most gold are going to have the seat at the table. And I think that's where everything is going. I also want to add one more thing in there. I think I said this last time. For those who don't know, the green agenda is the depopulation agenda, just so you know.
They are the CO2 that they want to, you are the CO2 that they want to actually reduce, you know. That's the green agenda.
Real rabbit hole topic if you really, really want to know, and I'll throw it out there for those who see things a bit differently. If you do your research, they've perfected cloning technology. So they don't need human beings anymore because they can just manufacture them. That's information I got from some very credible sources.
Yeah, and it even makes sense if we think about 50 years ago, they really needed a lot of people to keep this whole structure. We're talking about physical structures, roads, airports, everything, even restaurants. Now, if we talk about the future, we have AI, which is pretty much capable of replacing virtually most of the workers out there. So I think it's a very sensitive moment in history right now. I think the next 36 months are going to be a huge transformation. And that's why we are creating these lives right here. We want to make people as aware as possible so that everyone can take actions in anticipation before the jobs are replaced, before AI takes over. You can actually position yourself on the best possible way. Now, there is one question I want to put for both of you. Do you guys see that this war narrative is just another of the US strategies to turn on the printing machines once again?
That too. Yes. Well, I'll touch on it very lightly, and then I'll let you finish the rest, X. Okay, so with war, again, they're holding the dollar together, but with war, they have reasons to print more money, to issue more debt. So again, there are so many lenses that you could look at this through, to see what their narrative is. But I said this last time, is that when they go ahead and green light something, I want you to know that they're actually doing multiple things all at once. So they can accomplish many agendas with one green light. So not just printing money and debasing the currency, but using that money to buy influence, buy politicians, because it's still the reserve currency. It still works as one. So you have more political influence in other countries as well, if you really wanted to, if you can compromise another government. And that's what the IMF specializes in, by the way. They specialize in infiltrating governments and destroying their financial system so you can call the IMF and say, hey, I need help. I'm not kidding. So yeah, somebody put in there, it's the world's a stage. But yes, they can also use this as an opportunity to consolidate everything, because when they print money, who do you think gets access to the loans at 1-2%? It's Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. And what do? BlackRock. And what do? They buy everything after hitting the entire population with economic hardships where we can't afford to participate. You see what I mean? So it's also a consolidation phase before the destruction of it, so they can introduce their system. That's initially what the agenda was. And I'm just going to let you finish. I can keep going on, but we have to also touch on this whole white hat conversation again in a bit, if that's okay with you guys, because it ties in to what I wanted to say. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when we're in war, it keeps citizens suppressed, right? It keeps us in fear. It keeps us easier to control. At the same time, the inflation typically is going up, and again, then we're busy. We're nose to the grindstone. We're just trying to work. We're trying to grind out a 9 to 5, pay bills, get our kids to school, get them to sports, and back and forth. They want us in that system. They want us stuck in that mindset. And it was I found this meme: the bankers want war, so they can lend money at interest to governments on both sides. Defense contractors want war, so they can sell their military products to governments on both sides. Governments want war, so the bankers and corporations keep them employed and in power. Wars are big business. They are manufactured by the elites, but not by enemy rivals. Like that was it, just perfectly popped up.
They nailed it. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And I believe right now, I think that's I think for the last 100 years, or more. I mean, I'm sure it's been more, but since the Fed was created and everything, we've been locked in this system, and we haven't known any different. There's I think it's like 120 or 130-year-old chart, and it's, I forget the name of it. I shouldn't even brought it up, but it's like the perfect sequence that's been taking place every single time a recession. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, why is that so easily to predict? Because it's been manufactured and manipulated the whole time. And I believe that currently the reason why the BRICS are moving forward and Ripple is moving forward in this new asset class is moving forward, because there are white hats in control. There are white hats that are moving in the background. And at the same time, the people, the citizens, at least in our country, I know are watching the media and not seeing any goodness. There's nothing good taking place. They're seeing all the hypocrisy, though. They're seeing all of the exposure, though. They're seeing all the worst sides of all of these people. And they're seeing them for the demons that some of them very much are. They're seeing them for real, finally, with full eyes.
The evil.
Absolutely. And I believe we can't as a country rebuild and grow again until we finally see the real truth. The real truth, until we are told, and until our government is exposed, until What has been going on with the petrodollar is exposed. What has really been going on with Ukraine is exposed. What is really going on with all of these other countries and everything, and all the corrupt hands that we have in it.
Yeah,
Until that stuff is brought to light, uh, how can we trust our system?
I agree with you. Very nicely said. Mhm.
We can jump also on another sensitive topic here. I mean, it's clear that the system is changing, and there will be somehow a global reset, which they don't even bother to hide anymore. If you just go to the official channel of the World Economic Forum, you will actually find that all the evidences are out there for the global reset. Now, there must be some type of Black Swan event, which comes along with the name of Versan's YouTube channel. I think it's spot on. So,
Well,
do
that's
you
why
guys?
we went with it.
Yeah, I think he did a great job. It was a phenomenal title for the channel. So along with that comes many possibilities. The governments, they have many cards that they can actually play. So one of them might be a cyber threat. And this week, I think it was again on the news, a possible cyber threat. So what are your takes on that? Maybe you can also make some comments on the cyber polygon, if you guys are aware of that.
Well, this is the Pentagon cyber warning that was going to tie me actually into what I wanted to mention about this whole White Hat operation. In my opinion, this is another fear tactic, what they're doing. And again, multifaceted way. You could look at this through many lenses as well. But the Pentagon is clearly waving a red flag. They're basically saying, hey, guys, there might be a attack on our financial system. In my view, this narrative smells like the deep state. Okay.
Mhm.
Whether it's the military industrial complex or whether it's the military industrial complex that has been compromised by or neutralized, I'm sorry, by the white hats. And that's what a lot of our friends keep telling us. So this news that's emanating, but that's the problem. It's emanating from the Pentagon. So the Pentagon, if you know the Pentagon, they have been involved in some very dark and weird stuff. I'm not even kidding. What's his name? Alex Pike and Aleister Crowley were
Mhm.
actually meeting with people at the Pentagon. Why are there Satanists meeting with Pentagon officials in the early 1950s? Why? You have to ask the question. Anyways, so basically, what they would do if they have not been neutralized, they would then do a stage of false flag attacks. Hence, the Biden administration keeping the border open. Hence, the Biden administration being compromised by the Chinese or the Russians. For all we know, this could be the BRICS working from within the country. You see what I'm saying? And they're slowly bringing this all out. So again, there's so many ways you could look at it and so many puzzles, but a cyber threat, think about it too. It could actually serve multiple purposes for them. What I'm trying to say is a cyber threat could benefit them too, this deep state or whoever they are, right? Firstly, it could be used to blame a foreign adversary like the BRICS, Russia,
Mhm.
China, whatever. This is what they do. They blame somebody else to provide a pretext for a green light for war. That's one move. The other one is like what we talked about, bringing more money in. More money, more control, right? More political influence, buying time as well. And there also could be a way to erase all digital traces of the nefarious acts that our banking institutions were involved in. I'm talking about the Epstein stuff. So if a cyber threat happened and wiped out not just our assets, but also the data that compromised them, that could work in their favor. So I'm just throwing that out there as a playful thought. You know what I mean?
No, that's exactly where my thought process was going. As far as, um, okay,
It's a lot of
they
information. I know. It's
they
crazy.
they they changed the in March. They said that they're no longer going to help the banks, no longer going to bail them out. Okay, so we got that lined up. And then all of a sudden we start seeing red in the banks massively, and starting with Evergrande, and how quickly is that going to leak into across our financial system, across the banks and everything?
Yep.
Is this financial, or is this cyber attack that they're expecting, that they're going to manufacture? Is that just a complete uh, ruse to just so they don't even know that the banks are going to completely get rugged, and then causing, because they don't want bank runs. They don't want people, they don't want the population to lose faith in the system so much that they go in. I got a story. I went in on a Tuesday into our local bank, and it's Fifth Third. And if y'all are familiar, went in there on a Tuesday, and this was like, it was like the beginning of COVID, and when my spidey senses were kicking off, and okay, well, I'm gonna prep with this and this and this, and you start getting your ducks in a row, and because what's to be expected, and I went in and only asked for $10,000, and the lady was like, "Oh, okay," and she gave me a slip and everything, and she said, "The next time, can you give us a week in advance?" And I said, "What's that?" And she said, "Can you give us a week notice?" And I said, "Why is that?" And she was like, "Well, we just asked that you give us a week notice so that we can order the money to be sent to us, so then we can give it to you." I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So you're saying if I come in tomorrow and I ask you, I want to take out another $10,000? She said, no.
Yep.
You've dried us up for the week.
Yeah, they're insolvent.
It was $10,000. And this is a big bank, and it's like, there's no way they're alone. All these banks, they don't hold this money. They don't hold our money. So when people go knocking on their doors, they're going to be in a straight up panic as soon. I mean, the first couple people are going to be the lucky winners, and then they're going to have a bunch of mad people. They don't want that. So I feel like it's a ruse, and they're going to try to ride it out the best that they can to keep the unknown population as calm as possible, right? Sedated as possible.
Oh yeah. And this touches into two things that really tie into what you said there, is what Senator Warren is doing with the crypto bill. If you guys I shouldn't be saying this, but it's like, we know what we're talking about here. This is what we do, right? We research this stuff, and we really love just getting to the bottom of these things. And if you look at what Senator Warren is doing, Senator Warren, she's trying to push this crypto bill where you can get fined as a federal offense for owning so much crypto and not talking, or I'm sorry, reporting it. But again, remember what the beautiful thing about blockchain was, is that you don't need a trusted entity. It's just between you and I. And that's the thing that we're losing in the blockchain space. But what's crazy is that she wants to keep people in the dollar with her crypto bill. She doesn't want you in XRP. She doesn't want you in Bitcoin. She doesn't want you in anything but the dollar. So that too is something we call systemic risk. And also that ties into the systemic risk that the banks give each other bad loans, but they're trying to keep you in the dollar to shift the risk that they don't want onto you and I. So if we're holding the bag and the treasuries get dumped, which they already are, who takes the loss? We do. So that's what they want. While they continue to buy crypto, while they continue to position themselves. So they're trying to really keep people, like you said, sedated. And I'm going to be honest, and I hate to say this, for more than 10 years before I even started the YouTube channel or got into finance, I was always just telling people that something's not right. And we're at this point now where you have a significant part of the population that are still unaware of all of this. And that can spell big trouble when this thing goes down. And also this could tie us into what the white hats are doing. Are the white hats really, people keep saying in the comments, they've neutralized them. I understand that, but everything keeps going downhill. More control mechanisms are being put into place. What I'm trying to say is that for all we know, that could be a psyop too. Manufacture a hero for the people when they need one most. And Henry Kissinger said this. So, I just have so many questions. And this is why we have to do these discussions, just to get to the bottom of it.
So is that what you feel? You feel that this is the end kind of thing, or do you feel that this is the beginning? This is the end of their system and the beginning of something beautiful for our world.
Okay, yeah, I do believe that. The thing is, the way I see it is yin and yang. If there's so much darkness on one end, there has to be light on the other.
Yeah.
I also am a true believer in God. In fact, ever since I started this research into not just XRP, but going down these rabbit holes, it has brought me even closer to God, more than ever. And I think all of us feel the same way here in the comments too. So it's a beautiful thing. So it could be the beginning of something new, but the question is, they're not going to go down without a fight. That's for sure. We can see that happening. But yeah, for all we know, this could be the deep state on its last legs and the end of them too. Maybe Trump is really going to put an end to them, come in, but I wonder what else is going to play out, because it's just so much information. Now we're going down the rabbit hole, guys. So
hey,
I love it, believe me, but it's just, oh my God, it's too much.
I am happy I'm getting some good comments about the internet here. So apparently it's working today, guys.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, just guys, for you to know, I'm located in Greece. We have great weather, but we don't have the greatest technology yet, even though I am from Italy originally. So have that in mind. So I wanted to comment also. We talked about cyber threats, and yesterday something interesting happened. There was a hack of 200 million XRP. And one of the founders of Ripple, we have Chris Larsen, who actually got hacked 200 million XRP. So if one of the founders of Ripple was subject of a hack attack, successful by the way, because they really managed to drain one of his wallets. Now that puts me some questions, how safe are our digital assets? And that's why I think one of the main things is to be diversified, not only in digital assets. I know you guys know I'm a huge fan of digital assets, and I spend a substantial amount of my time researching on XRP, XLM, blockchain, whatever assets we're talking about. However, I think it's great to be as well diversified on gold, silver. I know Versan is a huge fan of gold and silver as well, real estate, properties, and other things. Now, what are your takes on the attack that happened yesterday against Chris Larsen wallet? And by the way, just to clarify, guys, some people said Ripple was hacked. That was not the case. Neither the XRP ledger was hacked. It was an isolated attack on Chris Larsen's wallet.
Yeah. X, you could go first if you'd like.
Well, well, first off, I feel like I look at things a little like when that happened, like I said earlier, I don't believe that anything's taking place right now. We're far enough along that I don't think anything's taking place by mistake. So whenever I heard that, I'm like, okay, this is perfect for the FUD. This is perfect for future FUD. This is perfect to shake some hands out. This is kind of makes sense, right? This might even be perfect to kind of bring Medico forward and show their value of custody. There was what was the other one? There was another point. The first vote. The first vote was the clawback, and so I was kind of I'm like, wait a minute, this just took place, and then is this so we can start to see the value in the clawback too? Because I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like it's over. I don't feel like it's over. I feel like there's more to it. But we know Brad Garlinghouse had said, given some irresponsible speculation and reporting, I want to reiterate that no Ripple managed wallets were compromised, full stop.
Yeah.
I mean, but the truth is, if he is capable, if it's up and up and is fully true, or the case is, then then where is he storing it?
This is this is interesting. So I've actually been waiting for this topic to come up, and that's why I was telling Ido yesterday, we have to talk about this. First and foremost, people are going to hate me for this. I'm going to see it in the comments, but we have to clear the air. Ripple's protocol is 100% hack proof. Yes. The fact that it's also built on a blockchain, I don't think people really understand what blockchains are. Blockchains are 100% inherently immune to hacking. Exchanges, accounts, software wallets may be vulnerable, right? But the blockchain itself cannot be hacked. anyone that's claiming otherwise is simply misinformed. To compromise a blockchain, you'd essentially have to knock out the entire web. And even then, you can't hack the blockchain itself. That's why your security of your seed phrase is paramount. That's the important thing. So what really happened then with this on so-called Ripple hacked? Basically, if you look at it, everyone overreacted as usual. Like you said, fear. They wanted to push fear out there. There were multiple narratives behind it as well, I'm sure. I just don't know. But it seems like the headline was designed, again, to craft and send shockwaves. And that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
They succeeded. But in reality, nothing substantial really happened. Ripple was not hacked for, what was it, 112 million in XRP, something like that.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. So what occurred of a hack was really of the founder. For all we know, he could have had his money off of cold storage. I don't know, but I think just people got really hyped up about it, and for no reason. Same thing with like the original Ledger news when it came out. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Everyone freaked out about the Ledger, and I kept getting sessions, and people were like, "Versan, what do you think about Ledger?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's still safe, guys."
Kind of makes you wonder if do you
just have many wallets. Be smart. If you're going to have a few $1,000s in something, why wouldn't you have 2-3 hardware wallets, different brands? I have 8. I'm working on 2 more. So I'm going to have 10 hardware wallets with 10 different seed phrases with all my crypto split into a bunch. At the same time, I like what you said, Ido. Be diversified. For all we know, somebody put in the comments here saying that for all we know, digital money could be the trap. And he has a very valid point. That's why you want to be positioned inside the system where it's going and outside. Hard assets, gold, silver. I bought 6 Rugers machine guns. And about a year and a half ago, I got them in bulk for $600 a piece. I bought 6 of them. It was an investment. And guess what happened? They're worth $1,300 right now, each. I'm not selling them, but you see what I'm talking about? Be diversified. Have money in and out of the system. Have gold, have silver, have food, have water. And we talked about this all the time. So,
some of the things that with it kind of made me think, could Ripple be throwing out some sort of bait to keep paper hands out and to kick paper hands out, and at the same time give everyone who is a hater, give them some, because the people who are already like deeply invested in XRP, we ain't budging. Like, I mean, I'm not, like, at least I can only speak for myself, but it's like I already see it a certain way, and so I kind of skate through it without a fear lens, but more of a thought-provoking lens, because they're doing everything for purpose, right? And if the psyop is the digital, we would like to see something that was in the works that could be backing it up so that it might have a future value with a gold backed or a silver backed, and that's what we see. That's what we see with the stable coin talk, with the World Bank type stuff. That's what we there's a bill that was just introduced 3/30/2023, and it's talking about the dollar going to a gold back. So I don't know if y'all have heard anything about the new treasury notes and such, or anything like that, but
I'll do my research on it for sure.
Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, it's worth looking into.
Can I touch on something real quick? Somebody I love this comments thing, by the way, and I apologize to Vicky Cat. I think I called someone an idiot earlier, and they said something in there, but you know how messages are, guys. When you message somebody, you can't pick up the emotion behind it. So if you say hi to someone and they're just thinking like, oh, he's just saying hi, but you're really like, hey, you can't. Anyways, I'm sorry, guys. So Max Dash said, why would the elites allow all the people to become wealthy of XRP? I want to answer this because I get this a lot. First of all, who's all the people? There's only about 4% of the global population that's really invested and engaged in digital assets. I'm talking outside of the institutions. I'm talking about outside the central banks. So nobody knows what the hell is crypto. You go talk to anybody till this day of crypto, you know, and guess what? You're gonna, I'm so sorry, guys. I apologize. But yeah, 4% of the majority population is in crypto. And how many of those people are in XRP? Very few.
Yeah.
And remember, XRP was illegal it was not illegal. It was delisted for a long time while this information was all coming out. So many people didn't get an opportunity to even get in. And then many people were sidetracked with Bitcoin and Ethereum, because when you ask anyone about crypto, they already know Bitcoin, but they're not in it. So they will have no clue what XRP is, believe me, okay? Now, out of that 4% who's investing in crypto, smaller percentage is invested into XRP. Out of that percentage of who's invested in XRP, very few people understand truly what it's about to do, what it's going to do. And then many people also don't have their XRP in a hardware wallet. So if a cyber attack does happen, most of those people will get wiped out too. Many people in XRP are having to sell their XRP because they're not invested in anything else. So they're not making profit anywhere else. They just hear like, oh, it's going to go to $1 million. I'm putting all my money in it. So very few people own XRP, and very few people in the XRP community will survive. I'm just saying.
Yep.
So
that's what I was going to say. Very
not a
few
lot of
of them
elites.
will stick around.
What do you mean? Yeah. Why would the elites let everyone become wealthy? What are you talking about? Who?
But not only that, I mean, if I will enter on my X account, of course, I will see a bunch of people talking about XRP, and that might give me the perception that everyone is invited on XRP, but that's actually the people who I follow, who are actually a very selected, tiny fraction of the population. And
just be realistic about the situation. That's all I'm saying. I'm not
and
saying
just
I'm
think
right.
about
But
how many of them are actually going to hold XRP through all of the price fluctuations. So you're going to have all the people who are going to take profits at $5, $10. I don't want to make any
right,
hype
though.
here, but let's make an hypothetical scenario that we finally take off and XRP goes to $10. How many people would take substantial profits on $10? And then they would convert these profits to USD. And then, well, I will not add more on top of that, but just think that could be the real bait, you know.
And what if you sold all your XRP and exchanged it for USDC or Tether, and then they collapse? You lost everything. So it's funny. And someone saying there, shake them out. Yes, they've been shaking people, and they're going to continue to do so because people are not doing honest research. They're not informed. And I don't call people haters anymore. I just call them uninformed. That's it. Because if you were informed, you wouldn't be a hater. You would support what the rest of the community is trying to do. And I think the rest of the community, it's not about opinions. It's not really about who's right and who's wrong. And that's why we're doing these live streams every Thursday now. It's about bringing us all together, because at the end of the day, remember, they focus on our differences. We have to look at our similarities. And what do we all want? We all want a prosperous financial future for everyone, so we can take care of each other. We can take care of our loved ones. We can give back to the world. That's what we all want. It's not about being rich and being right with all this ego. I want you to, people need to hear this. They really do. So, and another thing is the fact that I'm so diversified into other assets, I don't even plan on selling my XRP. So if XRP takes off, and I hope it does, decoupling from the Bitcoin and other things, I would take profits in something else. I wouldn't even have to sell my XRP. And that's why I keep telling people to be diversified. If the banks collapse, I do very well because I'm in gold and silver. If there's a cyber attack, I have food, water, and weapons to protect myself. Gold and silver too. If the crypto goes up and the market crashes, okay, I lose money in bonds. I have bonds, by the way, short term, not long term. I'm not that stupid. Short-term bonds, treasuries, I still have some investments in those. So if that crashes, then yes, digital assets are going to go up, and gold too. So at the end of the day, you can make so much money in this whole transition of what's happening. There's so much damn opportunity. I'm trading stocks every day too. Anyone who takes my course, I do give out some stock tips and whatnot, but you know what I mean? Be diversified.
I was just talking to my best friend. We've known each other since second grade, and some time went by, and I can't shut up about XRP, and then he says to me, well, hey man, if you end up being right, then throw a couple bucks my way. And I'm like, bro, we ain't in second grade anymore. Act. If you're sold, understand it, do your due diligence, make the purchase, take responsibility for it, look into what the most secure way of handling it is, and then let's continue to talk through it. And he's like, so he ended up buying some, and he's been buying and accumulating ever since. I was talking to him the other night, and he's like, when do you plan to sell your XRP? And I said, well, bro, I said that, that answer is not that's going to be the same for you. I'm like, it's different for everybody. That's why you have to take the responsibility to sit down and figure out what your goals are, where you want, we got a mortgage. I want to pay that mortgage off. I want to be debt free. My wife and I want to have different goals, and we want to help in our church in different ways. Like, we have certain goals already set up, is my point. And we've taken that time. And I was telling him, I'm of the thought process that I believe what's taking place right now will be the standard, the way for the rest of our lives, the rest of our children's lives, and so on, right? If that's the case, it doesn't make sense to me to part ways with the most high valued asset on earth in XRP, especially if and when the time comes when they finally put gold behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to that's going to change the game entirely. And I told him, I was like, I'm a huge believer and lover in gold and silver as well. And I told him, I said, I kind of look at XRP like my gold. I don't ever plan on parting ways with it. I plan on using the benefits that Ripple will come forward with. We're finding AMM, and I'm of the belief that there's going to be more benefits coming forward. Just like most technologies, they just continue to evolve. XLM and my silver.
Yeah.
Those. I was telling him that's what we will use to get out of our debt, to set up our lives the way that we want to, and to spend and use for life. The XRP and gold, and maybe I'll later change my mind, but I ain't here for $10. You know what I mean? Like, I want to leave something extremely special for my lineage, for my family, for generations to come. That's wholeheartedly how I see it.
Yeah. And there's no doubt that, Ido, would you like to put your thoughts in too?
I was just going to comment that the importance of taking these decisions when you are actually on a calm mind, and you can just see how emotional people get over a 2, 3, 4, 5 cents price fluctuation, which if we just open the charts, on the long term, we're going to look back and these price fluctuations, they just make no difference. But we had XRP dropping from 54 cents all the way to 49 cents. And now we are actually trading around 50 cents. And I saw people panicking on X, and that's not even a joke. So that just shows how emotional people can actually get. And that's why it's important to have a strategy. If you don't have a strategy, people are going to take decisions based on their emotions. And guess what? They're going to do mistakes.
Yeah, and you're right. And this ties them back to what both of you said. And I put a tweet out about this, and I said, this is a multi-dimensional game. Either you see it or you don't.
Yeah.
And it really is. And that's really what we've been trying to dissect over here. But what's crazy about this is, if you dig beneath the surface of everything we've been talking about, and not just us, many of the other YouTubers and podcasters out there, beneath the surface of everything, it's so apparent that, again, this is not just, it's a multifaceted conflict, as in it's a technological one, it's a spiritual one, and it's a financial one. And this is where the war is being fought on these three fronts, right? That's kind of what you said too. But, whether this is going to really take us to World War III to protect the reserve status, where Trump swoops in and saves the day, you know, to position himself as like a messiah or something. That remains still very uncertain because we still have a whole year to go. It's only February, right? And but from an economic financial standpoint, I don't know how they're going to protect this debt-based Ponzi scheme anymore. The powers that be, they seem hell-bent on creating a new system to sideline whatever this is because it doesn't make any more sense. And here's the interesting thing about it. I think despite, again, how they play it on mainstream news, if you look at the economic data, the financial system is not even working for those at the top anymore like it used to. Because remember, they can profit by giving out loans that people cannot pay back. But people can't even afford those loans anymore. So no one's taking loans. So who's getting pinched? They are. So again, it's very strange, you know, but there's a lot of things just, it's all tied in together. It's crazy.
It is. There's a lot of moving pieces, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I love what you do. And I watch your videos on Twitter, and I don't pay attention to a lot of people on Twitter because I feel like people are not giving the full picture. But then again, no one ever does, including myself. It's just there are a few people that really see this from a different perspective, and I really cherish that. I do, because I feel like I can relate.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I started with Q, you know, like I COVID hit. I'm prior military, and I got out in 2015, and you know, and then the vid happened, and I'm like, something is really happening. This is kinetic. This is real. You know, this ain't like little piddly stuff, you know. And so I went into, you know, a different perspective and mindset. It was no longer like a chill mode, you know, I'm out and I'm home and I'm safe. It was no longer like that anymore. It was back to survival mode. And, you know, and then, you know, I started seeing that there's potentially white hats that were operating and have been operating and have been in the know of all of this, the vile stuff that these evil people have been doing all these years. And then, you know, and then it got me into, actually, you know what? I don't even know how I ended up finding XRP. And I honestly, and I've had that conversation before, I always say like that, like we're such a small percentage of people in this 8 billion population world. Like, man, like to me, I believe God gave me the eyes, truly and wholly, because I end up talking to people, and I end up, and the people who will listen are my loved ones who know where my heart has always been. They've always known who I have been growing up, you know, and they hear me. And even though they don't quite understand, they can get it. And it's the more we go further down this timeline, the more and easier it is for them to understand it. That's what President Trump had said. Right now is the pause. Right? Because at the end of the pause, after this 4-year period, the end of the pause, it will be so blatant and clearly obvious. And it's just gotten more and more and more, right? I think we could all agree on that. It's just escalated. Yes. And this year, I think it's going to get to the point to where the biggest deniers of you know, Biden and all of the decisions and policies and, you know, the border and all of that, they can't deny it anymore. But not only America, I believe the other countries are already early. They're already doing it. You see all these farmers and everything coming out, showing out. I'm like, yeah, like we need to, all right, this is cool.
Well, yeah, this white hat thing is, there's no doubt that there's some military operation going on. And if you want to confirm that to the listeners out there, all you have to really do is go to the White House website And you could go back to the Trump administration, you see that there were certain executive orders that were put in place to militarize the National Guard and the US military before leaving office. So that's a very interesting thing because we didn't hear anything about that.
Right.
He still walks around with the nuclear codes too. So that's also very interesting. So this whole thing that we see unfolding could be a staged demolition to get us to see how bad it could have gotten. But this ties us into what you just said. This year, we're going to see something break. We have to. Do you know why? We have a presidential cycle. And this time it's about freedom or tyranny. And they're going to do whatever they can to get there. And we're going to have to do what we can to fight that back. If you don't mind, also, I want to touch on something. Again, love this comment thing. Somebody asked me a question about how my family told me about XRP. This story has been circulating for a while because when I first started the YouTube thing, I went on to Mel Carmine's show. Wonderful guy, by the way, amazing host. I love his throne. But he asked me how I learned about XRP, and I shared a personal story. I didn't realize it was going to get that much attention. So I'm going to explain it very briefly, if you guys don't mind. So how did this happen? In 2018, my business was taking losses, and I was, always strategizing how to make more money. And it's like a blessing in disguise. We had a family emergency meeting. My stepfather, by the way, his name is Jalal Al-Ghani. You could look him up. He was from Adara Oil and Gas. He had his own oil company based out of Yemen, got taken down by the Hunt brothers here in Texas. And when that happened, he built relationships with some people high up there. Now, Khalid Al-Sunaid is a family friend of our family, and I grew up in Saudi Arabia with him, used to play with his children. He is an advisor to one of the princes of Saudi Arabia. And I'm not joking about that. So that really did happen. Now, we haven't spoken in more than a decade, but my father and my stepfather and him were very close, best friends. And it was in 2018 when I was searching for a new way to make money and just to become successful. We're always constantly trying to make more money. And I didn't know shit about crypto. So we go to this family emergency meeting, and it was about Saudi Arabia. He was out there, and what's going on? So my dad said that there was this technology company out there called Ripple. And that's all they said. They never told me to buy XRP. People switched my words up. They put words in my mouth. Go listen to the interview. I never said that they told me to go buy XRP. They told us about a company called Ripple, which I had no idea about. Started researching it. And guess what? You can't find anything about it at the time. So every time we were looking at crypto, we were seeing Bitcoin and Ethereum. And when the fact I couldn't find much about Ripple, it was like quiet. No one talked about it. 2018. I said, okay, well, I got to dig more, into this. Vindel and I started looking at it together. My brother, a former banker. And that's when he came to me and said, Versan, this is fucking it. This is what we've been looking for our whole lives.
Yeah.
And then we started doing research. And then 2019, it took us 1 year to do research. Now, we put a little bit of money here and there, Bitcoin and Ethereum. But in 2019, that's when we discovered we were onto something very big. And it scaled up from there. So that's the real story of what happened. No one told us to go buy XRP. We didn't know Royals told us to buy XRP. They twisted the story up. We were informed about Ripple, and we did our own due diligence. And I got to give a lot of credit to my brother. He'll attend one of the live streams one day, but he is a phenomenal person, very smart, and he opened my eyes too. So sorry to go off topic, guys. I wanted to answer that because people do keep asking me about that.
But that's the value of just speaking the truth, right? And just having conversations, even if you maybe don't even know what exactly the truth is, but you're having the conversation and you get these nuggets of information and they can really grow into something. But because you took the initiative to do so.
Yes. I could have easily disregarded it, and I didn't do that. So, no, see, again, it's being changed here. I never said a royal told us about Ripple. You see what I'm talking about? They twist the words right away. I never said that. My stepfather's friend, who's an advisor, Khalid Al-Sunaid, he's an advisor to a prince. That's it. He's an advisor. He's not royal. He told my father about Ripple. And I was in the meeting, in the FaceTime meeting at the time. where we were all informed about it.
I think it was great insights, Versan. Now
Whatever.
I'm curious about X. How did
People
you
leave
get
comments.
started, by the way?
Yeah, people don't even know anything about my family. I mean, my family is super connected, you know. Yeah, being in the oil industry, you make a lot of connections, okay? People don't know shit. Excuse me.
Really great to hear
You
the
said
story. I didn't know about the story, by the way, so I'm glad you shared the story. For
I
me, that
shared it
was
with Mel Carmine. I didn't realize that it was going to get, twisted by the whole world.
no, it's okay, man. Now, X, go ahead, man. Share your story. I'm
Sorry,
curious to
guys.
hear how you
Yeah.
actually got more familiar, not only with XRP, but with digital assets. When actually flip the switch inside your head that you say that's the future of finances?
I don't know if I knew it was the future at first. There was, you guys are probably familiar with the account Whiplash.
Yeah, I
And
know
over on
Whiplash.
Telegram. And so, that was my first introduction just to, in general, digital assets. And then, so it was kind of like, it was kind of bumpy, right? to at first. And then at some point I ended up learning about, XRP. It'll be 3 years in in May. So since we've been accumulating. Yeah, I think about a year ago is really when, because I didn't understand what BRICS was in the beginning. For the longest time, you can only learn about things one at a time. At least I can. Full admission, I have ADHD. Like I have a difficult time with focusing on things. So sometimes I almost have to like categorize them in my brain, and like, so it's like I can, when I'm trying to learn about something, I stick to it. And so at first, I was going down one rabbit hole and it led to another and another, and eventually learned about BRICS. Then what really tripped me off was when I learned about the banks.
Yeah,
that is truly in the Fed Reserve. And then about our birth certificates. Like, yeah. That's truly, that upped the game of what I believe that the end of this is. I don't believe that the end of this is a few people getting rich. I believe that the end of this is true prosperity for humanity. That's on. I mean, I believe that we got to see the everyone has to see the darkness before, in order to see the light. However, I do believe that the most beautiful time is coming forward, and that, to each their own. But that's how I see it.
And that's very positive. I like that.
Might be a little naive, who knows? But we'll find out soon enough, right? We got to find out somehow,
Yeah.
So.
What's interesting also is the fact that if we're going to have this peace, prosperity, and we talked about this last time, but there's going to have to be another reserve currency, right? Instead of a single one. And I think that's the term multipolar. You can actually start hearing a lot of experts start saying the word multipolar. When you catch these words and they start trending, you should dig into it and say, what the hell are they talking about? And they keep talking about going into a multipolar world. If we're going to go into a multipolar world, then we're going to need a multiple reserve currency. And for all we know, this could be very interesting because this could be what the banks were talking about, the XRP and XLM playing a role in that on a deeper level, though,
Yeah.
Just something to playful thought.
We can also perhaps answer some comments here if you guys want to go ahead. Whenever you see a comment, also UX, if you see comments here that you would like to answer.
I don't even see any comments. I don't even
know. Really?
Yeah, there is a bunch of comments. I see someone from Greece here. Actually, I live in Greece, but I am from Italy. So, Kalispera. I see here someone saying,
real quick. I want to say that, speculation also is healthy. Speculation is important to really break down what's going on. And, there's a lot of information out there that you could kind of put together to speculate in the right direction. And again, if all three of us are speculating together, and most of it is not speculation, most of it is based on strong fundamentals, strong research. We've proven most of what we've talked about is going to slowly play out. But the speculation on what we don't know is important, just for the sake of discussion.
It gives you motivation.
Yeah,
Right?
as a matter of fact, none of us has a crystal ball. All we're doing is just taking pieces of information. I mean, I know Versan for a fact spends lots of time on research. I do the same as well.
Yeah.
We so many hours, and we just try to put this puzzle together. And that's why I'm also happy that we have so many comments, because I think everybody's trying to figure it out what's going to play out, and I think it's a healthy speculation, you know.
Yeah, and you know, really, I just read a lot. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't go out and drink as much as I used to when I was in college. I was a different person. Okay, I think we all were. I had a lot of fun in college. Okay, I used to be in the music business, so I loved it. It was great. But yeah, I just read. I drink my tea, or I have a glass of wine. Last night, I had 3 glasses of wine. I was doing all this research on what we were going to talk about today. Learned a few things that were outside of the purview of this conversation, but can tie into the next week's conversation. So just education and knowledge is something I cherish. And the fact that we can all talk about it here, it's phenomenal. I'm just so humbled.
And as a side note,
you, Ido,
we can have
wonderful
that.
host.
We're gonna have this show every. We're gonna make that Thursday, right, Versan? So every Thursday.
Every Thursday at 12. Yeah.
Yeah, 12 a.m. CST. It's the time zone that you are, right? Which for me, it's around 8 p.m. in Greek time. So for you guys to know that we're going to be here every week. We're going to have more guests on the show. You can also make some comments if you want us to reach out to some guests. We hope to have X again here. It was actually a pleasure, man.
Yeah, thank you. No, I'd love to. Yeah, no, I'm grateful again. Thank you all very much. This has been great.
No, I enjoyed it too. If you don't mind, maybe we can answer like 3-4 questions if you guys want, just to give back a little bit to the community for being patient with us. One person asked, what is the least amount of XRP you should be holding? I don't really, you know, it depends on your financial situation. You don't want to put too much money into something and not have enough cash to meet ends meet. Some people are getting laid off, and they're having to sell their assets that they were trying to preserve for wealth creation. In this case, I would say minimum, well, at the price it's at right now, I would say minimum would be a decent amount would be about 5,000. If you could have gotten it when it was a little bit cheaper, I was going to say 10,000 would be minimum, is a decent amount. Because at the end of the day, what is XRP again? It's a currency, and that's the direction it's going. If the whole world is going to slowly figure this out, that is going to become the currency of tomorrow. So maybe it's not just for central banks and financial institutions. It can provide services to them. They could use it for such reasons if they wanted to, but it could be used as a currency because that's initially what it was designed to do.
Yeah, I would say it's different to each person, but the most important thing is get in first. I believe uphold, and I only say uphold just because that's where I buy it. I believe the minimum amount is $30. So that's what I always tell my buddies, you know, anybody who's new to it, because they're so very skeptical. And I'm like, okay, well, just the important thing is just grab some first, because if there is a flip of the switch thing, if there is, you know, and you've got some, well, then you can still benefit your family in some form or fashion, even if you weren't able to get as much in there as possible, or as much as you would like. But get in, educate yourself. As you educate yourself, you find it makes more sense, and you get more confirmation behind buying it, so that when these little dips and all the FUD and stuff, you just shake it off. It's no big deal, because you know what the end game is. You already know what the end result is, and you know along the journey they're just going to be trying to knock you down. So just as you get more and more educated and get more and more comfortable with it, I think it makes sense to continue to buy more. Not financial advice.
Yeah, you're right. And you know, one thing we should probably touch on too, last subject, guys, if you're okay with this, is the CBDC. And I think many people are confused. In fact, I was confused for a very long time about this. You know, what is Ripple having to do with CBDCs? And Crypto Sensei mentioned something that my understanding on central bank digital currencies was to some degree limited. And I think there's just a lot of confusion because the fact that Ripple and XRP are often associated with a central bank digital currency, it's important to understand, break it down like this. What is essentially a CBDC? A central bank digital currency, forget what it means for the global population, but it's a digital form of a country's national currency. And who issues it? The central bank does. So it has nothing to do really with Ripple itself and what their technology, XRP, can do. But the technology company, Ripple, provides a solution for cross-border payments for CBDCs. Does that make sense? So you have to be able to distinguish the two. The fact that Ripple and XRP are so often associated with CBDCs, it gives people the bad idea that it is the central bank digital currency. And I see this in the comments all the time. But it's important, again, to note that Ripple's primary focus is cross-border payments for financial institutions for CBDCs, not CBDCs itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The CBDC is still fiat. So
yeah, it's a digital fiat and it's not backed by anything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like XRP and XRP ledger is just the rails, and that's it. It's just to be able to transfer the CBDC and value. But it doesn't. If the CBDC were to go down, Ripple is and XRP are still there. The fundamental system is still intact. If everyone refutes the CBDC and turns it down, it really doesn't matter because the framework has already been, or not, the fundamental structure has already been set up because Ripple has already set up their XRP ledger and everything.
Yeah, and it goes even beyond just the cross-border payments. We can talk 1 hour about tokenization as well. How many things we can tokenize is just endless possibilities, and that goes not only for, sometimes we focus on XRP, but it actually goes beyond, and that's why to be diversified is important. You also have Stellar blockchain, XLM, you have Corda with XDC. Well, there are plenty of alternatives, and some people are making some comments here. Oh, you guys trying to promote XRP? No, it's not. We're not trying to.
What are we promoting? I mean, come on.
We don't make any money. We're not selling anything,
dude. Yeah. I'm even if you wanted to pump the price of XRP by getting everybody invested into it. Obviously, we've seen that you can't push the price of XRP up. In 2021, a bunch of YouTubers who were way ahead of us in this space, what they were doing is they got together, they put a significant amount of money into XRP at the same time. They all agreed on it.
I was that.
Yeah, remember? Price of XRP went up and then it tanked immediately. So instead of going up like it was supposed to, something, I don't understand how that happened, but somehow it's being suppressed. It really is. Yeah. And what's interesting too is that, and that's why I think it ties so much into what the World Gold Council has been saying and the central banks and the BIS especially, because the IMF clearly made a statement. We talked about this last time. Kristalina Georgieva, she's the head director of the IMF, and she said, again, whether the IMF was compromised by the white hats, it's a different story, but she said, if we're going to have digital money, it has to be backed by something, because she said, what is a digital currency not backed by anything? She said, it's just a repackaged fiat currency. But if we have gold backing, she said, now we have something. Those words came out of her mouth. And Andy Schectman is a wonderful and intelligent person who has covered this at length. And he's been on our podcast many times.
That's why I kind of feel like the CBDC will wash out just naturally. Even if they allow it to survive, I believe it's just naturally going to wash out, because as people grow aware to what's going on, because we're not done with this year yet. If people have lost a little bit of faith in the system, they're going to have zero faith in the system by the end of this year, so maybe it'll just naturally wash out and there's no more CBDC. I mean,
it's taking too long for people to really wake up to what's happening. I think things are moving faster than you'd expect the population to acknowledge it, even say something about it. And it's kind of sad because, I'm so comfortable saying this, but I think too many idiots out there have too much influence and they're not doing enough good with it.
Yeah.
There are a list of people I can name, but these are like big podcasts out there, lots of influence. They have so many followers and subscribers, and they're not really educating their viewers properly. So I think the wrong people have the influence out there too much. If the right people had the influence, this thing would flip so fast. It really would.
Yep. Yep.
Anyways, I think we've covered enough, and I hope people enjoyed this. Of course, thank you both for
thank you all
being here, and Ido, thank you so much for being such a wonderful host and just bringing us together, man. You know, it's wonderful. It really is.
Yeah, thank you all very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Before we close, I want to share a very quick story, okay? And that shows how early we are on the game. So last year, actually in April 2023, I went to an event, which, by the way, I invite you, Versan, for this year, if you might want to come all the way from the United States, which is the Paris Blockchain Week, in which I served as a media partner, you know? So I go to this event in Paris, which is basically the most important crypto event in history of Europe. I mean, every year it takes place there. And you have companies like Stellar, you have Ripple, you have, Chainlink, you have, some of the most important ones. As a side note, there was no sign of Ethereum, by the way. So I started to interview investors on the Paris Blockchain Week, you know, and these people are actually people who are on crypto since 2017, 2018. I mean, if you bother to go to an event like that, just for you guys know, the entry is like 2,000 euros, the minimum price. So it's a very, it's only high level investors there. And we start to interviewing people and asking, do you mind answering if you would invest 10,000 euros, actually $10,000, whatever, how would you structure your portfolio? And I actually uploaded this video to my X account, and 95% of the people who we actually interviewed were not holding XRP at all. They just structured their portfolio as follows. Basically, it was always the same copy and paste strategy. So basically, it's like 70% Bitcoin, 20% Ethereum, and 10% they diversify in some random stuff. So basically, I think this just shows how ahead we are on the game right now. It's actually unbelievable that I'm not talking to the random people passing here in the streets of Athens, with all respect to the Greek people, because I live in Greece, but I go to the main event of cryptocurrencies in Europe, and none of them are actually holding neither XRP or XLM. They just hold the same copy and paste portfolio structured on the exact same way. That was a huge surprise for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say one thing. One of the best parts about, or one of the things that I learned is, if y'all, for the listeners and stuff, if y'all want to talk to people about this stuff, the people that I have spoken with, especially at church, that have become very good friends of mine, and it's spread like wildfire, because the second they start, they hear and they start researching it, and they understand it, they get it. But they also have a certain set of eyes, and they see the world through a certain lens. And they understand that these are historical times, these are biblical times, so it gives them a little more fire under their tail to act,
Yep.
Just speak, if don't be weird about, or feel weird about feeling crazy or anything. If y'all have the opportunity to speak and help a loved one or a friend or something and educate them on XRP, something that can position their families in a much better place. I mean, we can all do that, like we're able to make a ripple effect, if you will.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I have to touch on one last thing. Okay. Two things, actually. Number one, I'm getting a lot of hate from somebody in the comments here named Meg. And I just want people to understand, when people are upset and defensive, it's usually because they don't understand something and they're fearful. And I think that's where she stands in all of this. Probably shouldn't be responding to comments like this, but I hate dealing with stupidity and just absolute nonsense. Okay. I don't tolerate bullshit in my life. And that's why I have a very small circle. And that's why I'm always ahead. Another thing is somebody asked, how do I buy SHX? This is very easy. If you're in the USA, you go on the Coinbase. SHX was built on the Stellar platform. You can purchase either Stellar tokens, XLM tokens, or Ethereum. And what you could do is send it to Coinbase wallet where you could swap it for SHX. That's how you do it. Takes usually about a minute, maybe less.
Just to add on top of that, Versan, I think it's also available on Bitrue, already listed there. So if they want a shorter, it's also on a smaller exchange like Bitrue. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought some on Coinbase and on Lobster too. Lobster has it.
There you
So
go.
I've had it on Lobster for for a couple of years now. I didn't know if it was anything, but I just saw like a random President Trump comm that I can't even find anymore, and just bought up some, and then now I'm like, oh, holy cow, this is actually going to turn into something. This might be kind of cool.
Yeah. A lot of opportunity out there. Everyone needs to take advantage of it. And until then, just be safe, take care of each other, love each other. An act of kindness can really go far and comes back tenfold.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Man who actually commented here. I know he do a wonderful research, so hopefully we can have him on the show
Mr. Man
as well. Yeah, he's there.
Man? What's up?
Commented. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, thank you everyone.
Oh, yeah.
I hope my internet connection was better this time. I really hope. So let's see if next week I can keep with this good connection. I want to thank every single one of you from YouTube, from X. Thank you, X, as well, and hope we're going to see you more times with us here. Yeah, thank you.
Would love to.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.